All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What's going on, everybody? We're back as usual on Fridays talking some fights. Me and my man Big Marley, Hebrew Cheetah in chat, GRS, Leadman in here, Connor Charger, Siggy. What is going on, everybody out there? Life is good over here, Leadman. Hopefully you are having a good week. It's a fun one, man. It's going to be a fun one. I will say, first thing, before we get into any of this, lock time, 5 a.m. Eastern. The UFC is in Singapore this week. So not your 6 p.m.s, not your 5 p.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Eastern. And what does that mean? Well, I'm out here on the West Coast. That means 2 a.m. Eastern for me. Literally the nut low outcome. 5 a.m. Eastern, easy money. I'm getting up at 4:45. I'm setting an alarm. I'm watching all the fights, getting a full night of sleep. Over here, I'm definitely watching all the fights. You best believe that. I'm a degen. No chance I'm missing any fights. My alarm already set for 1:30 a.m. Eastern. All 26 fighters made weight, so I'm not hoping. I am hoping on cancellations. I would lie to you if I'm saying otherwise, because I am going to be up. A lot of people won't be up. I am really hoping for a last minute because there will be a lot of edge. However, if it wasn't the case, I would not set an alarm just to check. I guess I should recommend that. More than likely, always in UFC, there's not going to be anyone falling out. All 26 fighters made weight, usually like in the next couple hours. If something were to happen, the fights would be canceled. But hey, you never know at the end of the day. I will be awake. I will be watching the fights. 2 a.m. to like 9 a.m. Sleep schedule, everything thrown out the window. I'm excited, though. We still got 100K up top. What is going on, Big Marley?
Not much. Yeah, I think I'm going to be one of those guys setting the alarm to wake up and make sure that nothing is canceled. And if I end up staying up, then so be it. But I have a feeling I'm going right back to bed. I haven't seen 5 a.m. and shit, I don't even know, since my honeymoon, like 9 years ago. So I doubt I'm going to be waking up for those first fights, but I'm hoping I wake up to some live lineups. Nothing better than that. So we'll see what happens, but a good early card allows you to do whatever you want on a Saturday night. Hopefully you got some extra money to spend, but let's break it down and hopefully find some winners.
Yes, absolutely. You can see a little overlay, little change, not much, but bottom left right there, a little thumbs up button, a little bell notification. If you want every single time we go live, if you want notifications for that, hit the subscribe, can get alerted with the notifications there. And then that like button, every single show helps us out a ton. It's completely free. And of course, got to hit up at the top quick before you go fight by fight. Our sponsor over there at drafters.com, use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% from $20 all the way to $100. And then if you're not a member, at ShipItNation.com. You want all of our MMA content, which will all be on the site. Big Marley's done. I'm done. I'm transferring all my stuff over to the site right after the show. Fight breakdowns, fight rankings, tier rankings, Big Marley's, all of his stuff. He makes predictions, what round, sub, KO, how he ranks the fights on a scale 1 to 5 for stars, as well as PGA Showdown stuff. NBA will be going on. And at NFL, which is this promo, 3-2-1 blast off, gets you 6 months, takes you $53 a month. MLB going on today. We'll have a show for that as always. No better time to join. Get in the Discord if you do join. All right, Marley. We had Hebrew 2 weeks in a row. Took a week off last week. Our guy GK Pfeiffer or something like that took second in the Monster, or the 555, not called the Monster, but for 12 stacks there. So Shippers 3 weeks in a row. Let's try and make it a fourth right here. So you see some screenshots in the Discord. But we'll start first fight of the night, bottom to top, like always. I will say last thing, too. 11 of 13 fights are expected to finish this card. So should be a lot of violence. Should be a lot of big scores. Get into it. Sungwoo Choi taking on Jarno Aarons. 8,800 Choi, 7,400 for Aarons. Choi coming about minus 145 to minus 165 range, depending where you look. Aarons plus 125, plus 135 range. Choi plus 140 inside the distance. Aarons plus 325. This fight is about minus 140 to finish. So, yeah, I mean, you probably guessed it right away. Looking at the prices, 8,800, 7,400. There was line movement in this fight. Choi open minus 235. Aaron's plus 200 on the way back. Aaron's just taken money ever since. So, like 8,800, especially on this card, you'd be expecting minus 200, minus 190 favorite. You're not getting that at all. So, I think Aaron's probably comes in higher owned than Choi. Given the $1,400 savings, the odds are close, especially on a card with Holloway up top, Nakamura up top. There are spots to spend for. I think Aaron's comes in more popular. Choi, he throws like 3.4 significant strikes per minute. So I'm pretty much looking at him. He has 5 minutes to be on the optimal at 8,800. He's not going to take it on the mats. He lands low volume. Even the second round KO, 90, something like that. I'm not sure that's enough at 8,800. So I'm going to be I take them as underweight and 20 entry below. I definitely will be, but I'll use Choi in lineups that I'm already eating Holloway chalk or Span or chalky lineups. Throw in Choi. He's going to be one of the lower owned guys in the upper tier. Plus 140 inside the distance isn't bad. But I'm going to pick the dog and Aaron's in this one. I'm worried about the ownership getting a little too high up there, but I think Aaron's can make it a junkyard a dog fight. And at the end of the day, Choi's chin been knocked out twice. Definitely is questionable. Think he can get on the inside, land some power, maybe try and mix in a takedown. I just think it's a close scrap. Worried about Choi's chin a little bit. A lot of money's been coming in on Aaron's. I prefer him for DFS with the savings. He will be higher owned though. Aaron's second or third round KO is what I'm picking. Not the strongest of confidence though. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, I like my curtain jerkers, but not so much this week. I am on the Aaron side though, so I'm going to be getting a handful of Aaron's, but with that new value that we're getting, he might just be over-owned, and I don't think he scores well unless he gets a finish. I think he's live for a knockout. I also think he could get a submission, but he's only like plus 325 inside the distance. That's not a great number, and he's not going to be looking to wrestle a lot throughout the fight. So if he wins a decision, I would expect him to score like in the 60s range, and that's probably not going to cut it. So I think most of my lineups won't have this fight, but he is my preferred play of the two. Choi will be very low owned though, and he's plus 140 inside the distance. I also do think he could look to mix in takedowns here because Aaron's in his UFC debut just looked so bad at stuffing takedowns. I think it's a clear path for Choi to go out there, land one takedown in each round, rack up 8 minutes of top control time throughout the fight, and actually score well in the decision. So he is in play, but it's so hard to click on his name over other people in that range, especially two people we're going to get to later. So he's an ownership only play for me. And since I'm picking him to lose, I just don't see me getting more than like 10, maybe 15% at that. So give me Aaron's, but I picked him to win by a close decision.
Yeah, no, we're similar thoughts there. Aaron's probably does come in over-owned. You do need to mix in dogs. Choi probably comes in under-owned. But, man, it feels like 5 minutes for me. He has to work. It's still like plus 350 in round one for him to finish. Still, he for his ownership, he could come in 10 to 15% owned. That is under-owned on this card. So you want to take a shot on him. Allows you to eat chalk elsewhere. So many good plays in the upper tier, though. Aaron's, especially for a win equity standpoint. His inside the distance prop pretty solid as well is Aaron's, though. What is it? Plus 325. Choi's chin is questionable. So, yeah, I'm going to take him by knockout. Again, not strongest confidence. If it's a decision, I don't think he does score well, though. What's up, Rum? He says he's working 4 to midnight, so he'll be up for the main card. Can't miss a Max fight. I agree with that. Blessed always. Like my lid, FanDuel lid is clean. I appreciate that as well. Your turn to ship. I agree, Siggy. There's GK Kiefer right there. Big score last week. Ready for this week as well. What's going on? Easy picks and bets and the great. Everyone out there watching live, watching on playback. We appreciate you. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, JJ Aldrich, Liang Na, 9,400 Aldrich, 6,800 for Na. One of the biggest favorites on the card, third biggest favorite, minus 550 for Aldrich, plus 400 on the way back. This fight's minus 210 to finish. Aldrich minus 145. Liang Na plus 500. Aldrich plus 225 in round one. So I like this fight, man, because Liang Na fights, they all finish. The chick comes out there. She has 1 round of cardio, swings for the fences. She just lays it all out there. The killer, be killed fighter. She's not used to most of her fights have all ended in the first round. She's going to come out there just like she did in the Carnelosi fight. Maybe land a knockdown, balls to the wall early, either get taken down and mauled on the mat early, get her own finish. If I do better, it's only round one. Give me the big plus money, better in round one. She's going to fall off a cliff after that. However, man, she just seems outgunned everywhere. Like, I don't think she's skilled. I don't think she's UFC caliber. Minus 550 for Aldrich in any fight sounds crazy. Got up to like minus 1,000 at some point, but takedowns should be free in this one. Ground and pound, top control. On the feet, she's more technical. She's cleaner. The jab will be there. It's a good fight to target. Not every day you see minus 210 to finish. Anytime Liang Na's fighting, I have interest on both sides. Na will be very low owned. And compared to like Korean Zombie, compared to Fernie Garcia, like give me Liang Na all day for there. I'll have some. But JJ Aldrich right there between Nakamura or lower than Nakamura and Holloway. Holloway and Nakamura are going to be over 2x, maybe 3 times as owned. Aldrich right there, minus 145 to finish. Get you different at half the ownership, a third of the ownership. I like her a lot this week, which is always scary to say, man. But I'm taking the big favorite, Aldrich, get it done. End of round one, early round two. But I don't think Liang Na is the craziest play either. So what do you see in this one?
Yeah, I actually prefer Liang Na. If I'm just making one lineup this weekend and I have to use this fight, I would rather just throw Liang Na because if she wins, it's going to come early and she's going to score 100 points or more. And she's on the optimal lineup if that happens. Whereas if Aldridge wins, I mean, she's going to have to finish. But even if she does get her ceiling, she still has to compete with other people who are going to have high ceilings as well. At 9,400, Aldrich is usually an auto fade, an easy fade, anywhere in the 9K range. But if she is ever going to score 100 points on DraftKings, it's against Liang Na. And she's going to be much lower owned than Max and Nakamura. So she does make sense for an ownership play. I will have a little bit of Aldridge this week, which is crazy. And it sucks to click on that button. But if you're going to win 100K solo this week, it's going to be hard to do it with Max and Nakamura, or even just one of them, because they're going to be in 50% of lineups, whereas Aldridge should be in less than 15% of lineups, in my opinion. So I'm a little bit interested in that because Liang Na is kill or be killed. I don't see this fight going to the third round, so the winner should score well. But I'd rather just target the aggressiveness in Liang Na because Aldridge isn't that good either. So it wouldn't shock me to see her finish her in the first round and just break the slate.
No, I'm with you. Everything I keep telling me, like, nah. But at the end of the day, like, minus 550 favorite is all, like, I just can't get that out of my head. And just knowing, like, Na has nothing after the first round, I just told myself, just jam Aldrich, be 40%, be something like that. It's so gross. Like you said, though, I want the solo 100K. And so I want 30% of Liang Na, or do I want 40% of JJ Aldrich? At the end of the day, I feel better with the minus 550 favor instead of the plus 400. Right, wrong, and different. I don't know. Still in 20 entry, like, I have not tagged this underway because I really don't think she wins. It's hard for me to jam a plus 400 dog. But if she's like 8%, which she probably is going to be, I said I'll probably be around the field. In my 150, I might even be 15%, something like that, which is overweight. But yeah, no, this is a good fight to target, as Liang Na fights usually are. And the upper tier is so loaded, like Aldrich just can't be owned that much. And cheaper dogs, you pay up a couple hundred more, you get a plus 190 dog instead of a plus 400 dog. So just right there, people won't click on Na for the win equity either. Sign me up for this fight. Absolutely love it. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, Yusaku Kinoshita, Billy Goff. Fun fight here in the mid-tier. 8,400 Kinoshita, 7,800 for Goff. We got minus 140 Kinoshita, plus 120 on the way back for Goff. Minus 275 this fight to finish. Kinoshita plus 135. Goff plus 165. So Goff making his UFC debut. Kinoshita making his second walk to the UFC octagon. Was a big favorite. Lost to Adam Fugit. Good stuff to takedowns, man. We got southpaw. Two young guys, 23 Kinoshita, 25 Billy Goff. Kinoshita, young southpaw, got power. Got to learn to stuff takedowns and defensive wrestling in the UFC, though. But is Billy Goff going to take over, the 25-year-old? Is he going to get a UFC debut? Marley, is Kinoshita, the 23-year-old, going to get back on track?
It's a close fight, and I just like targeting this fight as a whole. We got minus 275 that the fight ends inside the distance, and I expect the winner to score well. If Kinoshita wins, I think it's going to be by knockout. The kid can crack. I think he is the better striker, the more technical striker, especially early. And Goff gets cracked in a lot of his fights. So it wouldn't shock me at all to see a Kinoshita first round knockout, him on the optimal lineup at 8,400. And then on the other hand, if he doesn't get that first round knockout, I feel like Goff could start to take over. This guy is a warrior. And I also think he's the better wrestler. We saw Kinoshita get dominated on the ground, as you mentioned in his last fight. It wouldn't shock me to see Goff go out there and land takedowns in any round. I think he could finish on the feet or the ground. If Goff wins, I expect him to score over 10x and probably closer to 100, where if Kinoshita wins, he's only a striker, so I don't know that he's going to score over 10x. He's kind of knockout or bust at his price. So I just like targeting both sides, but I'm going to pick Goff. I just think it's a close fight. My question for you would be, would you go 4 stars or 5 stars for my fight rankings on this one? Because I was going back and forth, but I think that the Kinoshita side, if he doesn't get the knockout, he might not make the optimal lineup, and that's why maybe I'm a 4. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a great fight to target. Maybe I'll be a 5.
If I went 4, it probably the mid tier is so loaded this week. Like every mid tier fight we talk about is so good. So that's the only reason I would have it 4, because like some good fights going to be left off there. I get what you're saying about Kinoshita. He's not going to wrestle, but how I see it, like my man Siggy, Goff is a junkyard dog. I think I wrote those exact words in my write up. He is absolutely a junkyard dog. But how we know that is because he gets hurt so often early in fights because he comes out so aggressive getting in a firefight. And that's where I'm worried. I ended up picking Kinoshita just because like I went back and forth on this fight. It was the last one I ended up writing up. I was like, the dog money with Goff looks nice. It's going to fight for your dollar. Maybe he can mix in takedowns. We just saw Kinoshita struggle there, but I expect Kinoshita just to be grinding defensive wrestling. He's had a full camp. He obviously just realized Fugit dominated him there. Got to shore that up. At least you're going to lose every UFC fight. 23. The big thing was Goff gets hurt early. His striking defense is a concern. He'll just absolutely throw, doesn't mind being hit in return. And Kinoshita, the southpaw, I think the left hand is going to be there all day, and he's going to sting Kinoshita, or he's going to sting Goff, is Kinoshita. And Goff hasn't fought anyone with the power like Kinoshita has. So I'm going Kinoshita. I'm going first round knockout, which is also why I like this at 5 stars. I just think how Goff fights go, he's going to push a pace. He's going to make it fun, and points are going to be scored. The winner should score well. But if I did go 4 stars, it would be because just this mid-tier, we're going to talk about a lot of these fights. The Ryan Spann fight, the Blanchfield fights, even if you want to go the Parker Porter-Tafel fight right there. Such a good loaded mid-tier. All of the fights expected to finish. But, yeah, give me Kinoshita round 1. Not the most confident. And with that $600 savings, like with Goff, maybe I end up with more of him, but maybe the field ends up with more of him too, because salary is pretty tight on this card. But yeah, great fight here to target. I'll slightly lean Kinoshita. You slightly lean Goff. What's going on, Zach? Still got my picture is yours. Hope everything is going well. Keep it rolling. Next fight, Garrett Armfield. Toshima Kazama, 8,700 Armfield, 7,500 for Kazama. This fight is another closely lined fight, about minus 155 to minus 175 for Armfield, plus 135 roughly for Kazama, minus 200 for this fight to finish, plus 135 for Armfield, plus 215 for Kazama. Throw it to you right in this one. What do you see? 8,700, 7,500.
Yeah, I like this fight. I think that it's a striker versus grappler matchup where Armfield should want to keep this fight on the feet. I think he could wrestle if he wanted to, but Kazama's pretty dangerous on the mat, so it just wouldn't be smart of him when he should have a clear striking advantage. But Kazama's also hittable, and he's got a suspect chin, so I think Armfield's very live for a knockout here. It is the knockout that would really put him in play for the optimal lineup, especially on this card, but I do want a little bit of him. However, my preferred play is going to be the grappler. I think that Armfield, I don't think is very good, to be honest with you. And then him flying across the world over to Singapore can't help him a whole lot. And I think that this Kazama kid's pretty good once he gets the fight to the mat. He's not a very good wrestler, so it's hard to rely on him getting the fight to the mat. But once he does, I think he could have a ton of success, and he could submit him in the first round for 100-plus points at 7,500. So I'd rather side with the underdog in this one. I think they both have high upside, But if I'm going to take a stand, I'm going to get some leverage on Kazama, and I'll go a little bit underweight on the Armfield side. Give me Kazama first round submission.
I like it. I also picked Kazama in this one, but another fight where you can obviously tell there was a lot of line movement. 8,700, 7,500. You'd be expecting like minus 190 for Armfield, something like that. The fight opened minus 210 for Armfield. Now all the way down to like minus 150, minus 160. If I think Kazama is going to be higher owned, like Kazama, one of the higher owned underdogs. I still like him. The good plus 215 inside the distance. A nasty grappler. Like I'm looking at this as a clash of styles too. But Armfield, he's going to be just like Choi, going to be one of the lower owned guys. I prefer Armfield to Choi, right in that same range. Going to be two low owned guys in the upper tier to get different. But I think the pace is high in this fight. I mean, Kazama came out last fight against Nakamura. I threw that fight out the window completely. The toughest matchup you'll get, but he threw everything out the window, threw his chin, threw his safety, stood in the middle, and just threw down with Nakamura. I mean, the fight's going to end up like that, him on his back, knocked out, if that's the game plan he wanted to do. In this one, he's got some power, a little questionable chin, but I think it does hit the mat at some point. Armfield can wrestle. Don't think he should. There's upside for submission there at any time. On the feet, Armfield had a tough UFC debut. Up a weight class, short notice. David Onama. Like, Onama's big for the division. I'm always a huge Onama guy. So, again, I kind of threw that out the window for him too. But I think there's more upside with Kazama. And I like what you said. It is worth noting some of these fights, like Kinoshita, Goff, and stuff like that. The Asian fighters taking on. There's a lot of American fighters on this card that train in the States. Who knows when they flew over to Singapore. They're fighting at, 5 a.m. Eastern. Some of these fighters, like, they'll be sleeping. Their normal routine is them in the sheets when they're going to be making their walkout to fight. So, obviously, a lot of camps prepare like that, do different things. But it is worth noting. It was a good point there. Slightly in Kazama for me, but if he's 30% owned and Armfield's 15% owned, the right side would be Armfield. And I'm picking Kazama by sub with you. Great fight to target again, as most of these are. 11 of the 13 expected to finish. We'll keep it rolling again. We appreciate that like button. Appreciate that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Waldo's going to the heavyweight division. The first of 2 heavyweight fights we will talk about. Waldo Cortes Acosta taking on, next one's the other heavyweight fight. Lucas Bresky, 9,100 Acosta, 7,100 for Bresky. Another fight that's very, very slightly expected to finish in this one. Sitting at about minus 105, minus 110. Bresky plus 450 to finish. Acosta plus 160. So I'm not getting much of this fight. So many good fights to target on this card. I don't think this one's crazy, but 9,100 for Acosta, who's just a boxer at the end of the day. Like, he's not mixing in takedowns, all of that. Pretty much you need a round 1 knockout at 9,100. He's plus 400 to win in round 1. I'll take my chances there. Again, he's going to be low owned. If you want to get different, there's always a path, low level heavyweights. I don't think Bresky's any good, but he's 7,100. He has shown that he can try to wrestle at times, which would be the smart game plan here. I don't think he has success. He can throw okay volume. I don't think Bresky's good. Probably not even UFC caliber, really. I think, of course, Acosta stays at range, pieces him up, probably wins a decision. Bresky can throw some light kicks, though, that gave Acosta problems. Acosta to win by decision is the pick, or a late finish. Still don't think a late finish is enough, but I'll have more Bresky just because he's 7,100. Low level heavyweights. I'm cheering for him. Think it'll be gross. I don't think he wins, but at this price, it's definitely dog or pass for DFS for upside. So what do you got?
Yeah, I basically agree with everything you said. I'm picking Acosta to win a decision by being the better boxer, throwing more output and getting it done on the cards, and just not scoring enough at a $9,100 price tag. Probably scores around 80 points, and that won't cut it. So I would rather save the 2K and just go to Bresky as my preferred DraftKings play. I do think he's more likely to mix in takedowns. I think he has the same upside for the same ceiling, which would be an early knockout. But it's just going to be a lot easier for him to pay off a $7,100 price tag if he's getting his hand raised here. So I'd rather get the underdog, even though I'm picking him to lose. But overall, it's a fight that I'm not going to target a whole lot.
We're lockstep on this one, Marley. Hopefully you do wake up with a lot of live lineups, because that means I should have some myself, keeping it rolling. The other heavyweight fight, Junior Tafa, Parker Porter, 8,600 Tafa, 7,600 Parker Porter. Minus 140, plus 120. Seen some line movement in this one. Tafa opened minus 180. It went down to pretty much a pick 'em. Been there ever since. Tafa got a little money back, but that's why this price 8,600, 7,600. Another fight, I wouldn't be surprised if Porter ended up a little higher on, probably similar ownership here. Minus 325 this fight to finish. Minus 115 for Tafa, plus 225 for Porter. So the brother of Junior Tafa, Justin, knocks out Porter in round 1, and now they give the UFC the other brother to try and do the same thing. Do you think Junior gets a first-round knockout, or what do you see happen in this one?
Yeah, I think it's a great fight to target because I see it being a Tafa knockout or Porter winning on the ground. Either of those outcomes are going to score well, so I think this fight ends up on the optimal lineup. We got minus 325 that the fight ends inside the distance. That's pretty solid. Tafa's minus 115 inside the distance with plus 140 to win in round 1. Not a lot to not like there. His brother just sparked him early. So we could definitely see 100 points from Tafa and even 125 plus points with that quick win bonus. So I like him, but at the same time, he's a fish out of water when he's taken down. And if Porter can get one takedown, that's all he's going to need to just grind out the round or maybe get a stoppage with some ground and pound. So I would prefer the grappler. Usually when I don't have a strong feeling about a fight and it's striker versus grappler, I'd rather go with the grappler, especially when that striker has nothing to offer off the ground. So give me Porter to just make this an ugly fight, hold him against the cage, work his way to a takedown, and just control the fight from there on. Even if he wins a decision, I would expect 90-plus points from Porter. At 7.6K, that's pretty solid. So he's my preferred play, but this is going to be in most of my lineups, this fight as a whole.
Yeah, so Siggy's people are talking about like fight stack and all that. Has anyone seen a tourney fight or a fight stack win a tournament? I'd like to know if that can happen. So yeah, no, it's happened multiple times. Been playing for like 4 years, something now. Seen it like the Volkanovski-Holloway fight. When it went 5 rounds, Holloway 150 or Volk 150-45, but no dogs won on that card. Holloway was in the winner with like 56. It's happened multiple times in 5-round fights like that. But what it takes pretty much no underdogs winning, and then usually the 5-round main event going all 25 minutes, usually lighter weight classes where they throw a bunch of volume. The loser scores anywhere from 50 to 80. And it goes that way. Like the Aljo Peter Yan fight when he got kneed in the head was on its way, I think, to be an optimal. So yeah, it can happen, but you pretty much need every favorite to lose and the main event dog to outscore all the other dogs on the card, or one dog wins, something like that, and then they score really poorly and it gets there that way. But basically the general rule, don't stack fights. And this is not a card. Actually, I guess Korean Zombie wouldn't be the craziest thing, but if you never do it, you're not losing out on EV is how I'll say it.
Yeah, and I think the only 3-round fight that I can remember anyways that was stacked in an optimal was Drew Dober versus Frank Camacho, like however many years ago that was. Aside from that, I don't know that there's been a 3-round fight that was stacked in an optimal. Yeah,
I will say for that too, so few lineups do it. So even if it was the nuts, almost no one's gonna have. I'd be shocked even if anyone did it. So I definitely wouldn't stack 3-rounders. But 5-rounders, yeah, a couple times it's happened. But we'll keep it rolling. Next fight, I very rarely stack cash games. I do not yet. Yeah, cash games tournaments, 2 completely different things for sure. We'll keep it rolling. Next fight. Oh no, I didn't even talk about that Tafa Porter. I'm in agreement with you though. So like Junior Tafa came over for high-level kickboxing and glory, which is why like on the feet, we're calling it a clash of styles. Like it's weird calling Porter a wrestler. He does average over 1.38 takedowns, but he's not someone like I look at him like, yeah, this guy's a good wrestler. But in this fight, he's going to have to be, because on the feet, he's at a big disadvantage. Tafa's going to eat him up at range, probably knock him out. We just saw Usman dominate Junior Tafa, the bad Usman, obviously, on the mat. I think Porter goes for takedowns. If he does get on top, he's really heavy. I don't think Tafa's going to get up. So for, that 1K, give me Porter, give me the wrestler there as well, and give me the guy with more MMA experience. So give me Porter in this fight. Again, confidence not high, but that 1K savings goes a long way as well. Keeping it rolling. Aaron Blanchfield, Tyler Santos, 8,500 Blanchfield, 7,700 for Santos. We got minus 145 Blanchfield, plus 125 Santos.
Actually, plus, I think we missed 2 fights, by the way.
I'm just going, maybe they changed the order from, I'm just going based on how I have on the slate info.
Okay.
Going up. And I did. You're right. The Bedoya one and
Chitty, yeah.
And Chitty one. Good call. So yeah, I am going slate info and I still didn't do it. So we'll touch on Blanchfield Santos. Then we'll go back to those. Thank you. Don't know how I missed it. So this one's the most likely to go the distance at plus 190. However, it's going to get ownership because both these girls can wrestle. Everyone knows Blanchfield, the grappling, the wrestling, over 3 takedowns per 15. Tyler Santos over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. Haven't seen her since the Valentina fight. Very close fight in that one, man. Arguably won that fight. Looks very good. Showed off a lot of strength. Takedown defense, some wrestling. Big boy fight. Very important for the division. Going to get some ownership in the mid-tier too. How do you see it?
Yeah, even with this one expected to go the distance, I love this fight. I think it's an awesome fight to target because they both have grappling upside. I do think it's kind of a clash of styles. They're both very well-rounded, but I would give Santos the edge on the feet and Blanchfield the edge on the ground. I think if this is a pure striking match, Santos is probably going to win over the course of 3 rounds, if not knock out Blanchfield. I think she has TKO power, one of the more dangerous strikers in WMMA. But Blanchfield's looking very improved in the striking. She was putting up good volume in her last fight, but her ground game is awesome. And she's got 5 wins in the UFC. She scored 126, 115, 95, 124, and 98. I mean, all of those are definitely fine at 84 or at 8,500, and she doesn't even need a finish to get there because her wrestling and grappling is so good. So the biggest advantage in this fight would be Blanchfield in top control. That's what I'm picking to happen. I'm picking her to score well. So she's my leverage play, but I'm still going to be right around field weight on Santos because she could knock her out really in any round. And I also think if Santos gets takedowns, she could be all right in top control too. So great fight to target. We might even see a rematch for the belt one day. I just think that these two are right there, top notch, but Blanchfield might just be something special. So she's my pick.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you said. Like just looking at the YouTube, like everyone loves Blanche. I mean, the performance against Andrade was insane. Her striking, like the pressure, like she stood right in the pocket with her, was winning the striking exchanges, gets to the mat, all she wrote. I do think, I wouldn't necessarily call it recency bias, but we haven't seen Santos in a good amount of time. Like if that fight was a couple months or this fight was a couple months after the Valentina fight, maybe we're seeing coin flip odds here. Because man, she looks so good in that fight. I think for DFS, like everyone loves Blanchfield. You see what she scores, how good she is as a grappler. The inside the distance prop, hers is way better than Santos. Even with that $800 difference, I still think Blanche might be like 30%. Santos might be 20%, and maybe rightfully so because Blanche definitely does have more upside. I'm picking her. There's no doubt about that. What I saw against Andrade on the feet is all I need to see. 24 years old. Her grappling's already next level. Wrestling solid. I'm not convinced, though, she's going to have a ton of success, at least early, getting Santos to the mat. Her trips are so good, but Santos so strong in the clinch as well. It's a good fight. It's such a good fight. Maybe if it's going to be like 30% Blanchfield, maybe I'll end up a little underweight or at least around the field. I wouldn't go too much overweight on 30%. 20% Santos seems about right. My plan probably somewhere around the field in this one. So many good mid-tier fights expecting to finish. You do need a grappling-heavy fight in this one if it goes all 15 minutes, and you want it to be one-way traffic. You don't want Santos winning round 1 with 4 minutes of control time, Blanchfield doing the same in round 2, and you go to round 3, each girl scored pretty much nothing in one round because they were on their back. Then it's not going to score that way. So there's multiple paths I can see this fight not scoring. Mm-hmm. So probably around the field in this one. I don't want it to kill me, but I am picking Blanchfield to get the job done. She's just been so impressive. 24 years old. The sky is the ceiling for Blanchfield, no doubt about that. And same with Santos at 30 years old. But give me Blanchfield in this one. Great fight to watch in real life. Should be pretty good for DFS as well. Thank you for reminding me. We're going back a couple fights. We're not Rolando Bedoya, Song Kanan, 9,200. Bedoya, 7K for Kanan. This fight, minus 165 to finish roughly. We got Bedoya, big favorite, minus 310, plus 260 for Song Kanan, plus 220 or plus 120 inside the distance for Bedoya, plus 350 for Kanan. So Bedoya, one of the we talk about it a lot recently. The people that take a fight on short notice against a big name, they lose a close decision, but their ceiling goes up. Everyone looks at them better. Diego Lopez, we just talked about not too long ago, responded with the first round submission win. Bedoya comes in on short notice against Chaos Williams, outlands him 149 to 130. I thought he won that fight. Really impressive, man. Chaos Williams, you don't really want to stand in front of for 15 minutes. Bedoya took it to him, pressure, threw more volume. Now gets a big step down in competition against Song Kanan. He had that big moment against Ian Gary in round one, did Kanan after that. Got his ass beat, eventually finished in the third. I think Bedoya puts on the pressure, throws a lot of volume, probably stops Kanan at some point. The thing is, this upper tier is so loaded, man. How much do you think you can get a Bedoya? How do you see this fight going?
Yeah, I just think Bedoya is best used as a pivot away from Max or Nakamura because I like them a lot more on paper. But at the same time, I do like the matchup for Bedoya. I think he's better everywhere. It's just dangerous with Song. He's got power. That's what puts Song on the optimal lineup. He goes out there, gets a knockout, scores 100+ points. He makes the optimal that way. If Song somehow wins the decision here, it'd probably be like 2 takedowns, 50 strikes, something like that. And I just don't see him scoring well. So I'm not going to have a lot of Song. I just don't think that the knockout's something we should rely on when we saw Bedoya taking some of Chaos's best shots. So I'm going to be more so Bedoya or pass, but I kind of see these guys as like a 10 to 20% range type of fight where I don't care for either one of them, but I'm fine putting them either one in the lineups. Like Song will help me get up to Holloway or Nakamura, but Bedoya will help me get different from all the Holloway and Nakamura. But I just see Bedoya doubling up or tripling up Song on strikes, winning with 90 points or so, and I don't think that cuts it. So I prefer these other ones more. To me, it's really who's lower owned between him and Aldridge because that's who I have more interest in as my pivot play. But that's just how I look at this. It's a pivot-only type of fight. And he's just like he's landed more strikes in that first fight in the UFC than Song has in his last 4 combined fights. So I just don't know how he loses this fight if it gets extended and he stays conscious.
I want to say Aldrich's going to be lower owned because that 200 goes a long way. And then once you do click Aldrich's name, it's like, all right, give me 200 for Nakamura, give me 300 for Holloway. So that's how I'm approaching it. I'm going to have, I think Aldrich is lower owned than Bedoya, mainly because of the pricing. But maybe not. Again, minus 145 inside the distance compared to plus 120. Both are definitely going to be lower owned. Outside of Nakamura and Holloway, those two will be in their own tier up top, probably around 50%. I think Ryan Span's the third guy. I feel pretty comfortable with that. But after that, I think it's pretty spread out. But that's how I see this fight going. Like I like Bedoya. He throws a lot of volume. I think a late finish is on the table. So at 9,200, I'm definitely going to have some. Like how overweight can I get? Probably not too much with Aldrich there. I like Nakamura, Holloway. There's so many guys in that range. Definitely can't fade them, though, in multiple lineups. If you're only playing some, of course, you can fade anyone. Song Kanan, though, I'm with you. Like, Bedoya is so hittable. But if he took all of Chaos Williams' best shots, Song Kanan, I mean, he has pop. We saw it against Gary, but it's not like he hits harder than Chaos. So, like, I like Liang Na more than Song Kanan, even though her win odds are worse. I guess Kanan has first run upside, but I like Liang Na's upside more than Song Kanan. I think it does happen more so. So, give me Liang Na over Song Kanan. I'm keeping Kanan in the pool, but I'm capping his ownership at like 15. And if the solver gives me none, I'm fine getting none if I like all my other ownership. So, yeah, give me Bedoya late round finish in this one. Keeping it rolling. Still a decent amount of fights to target. 13 on this card. Michael Olajaychuk, Chidi Njokuani. Michael O, 8,200. Chidi, 8K. Very, very close fight. The closest line fight on the card. pretty much a pick 'em at some spots. Minus 115, Michael O, minus 105 for Chidi. Some books, minus 280 for this fight to finish, plus 145 for Michael O, plus 150 for Chidi. I mean, what a great fight, man. Two strikers, going to stand in the middle and bang. They do strike a little differently, though. Michael O, all boxing, doesn't throw kicks, keeps it tight up here, has power. Then you go to Chidi, throws a bunch of kicks. We'll have the tail of the tape advantage in this one. I think it's like 6 inches in reach, 3 inches in height. Who's going to look like a weight class bigger than him. I think Michael O's got to pressure forward, eliminate the kicking distance, make it a phone booth fight. Chidi wants to keep it more at range, use those kicks. Ever so slightly, I'm going to lean Chidi with the tail of the tape advantage, keep it at range. His kicks are nasty, but man, just sign me up for this fight. I think someone's going to fall in the first or the second round, 8K, 8,200. Someone's got to fall in the first 2 rounds, though, because no one's going to the mat in this one. Probably, maybe Chidi, but I highly, highly doubt it. What do you see in this one? Double KO. I love it, Ross.
Yeah, we're definitely playing for the knockout in this one on both sides because I don't see either one looking to wrestle. Neither one of them will be too high volume to score well in a decision, but it is minus 280 to end inside the distance. So, and it's the mid-range fight, mid-range priced fight of the week. So for those 2 reasons, it could be important. I just don't know. I don't have a lean on who's going to get the knockout if there is a knockout. And I don't know that the knockout's going to come early. If the knockout's in the first round, then they're on the optimal lineup. If it's in the second round, they're pushing it. And if it's in the third round, I think it's probably too late. They're off the optimal lineup. And if this goes to a decision, neither one of them has a chance, in my opinion. So I'm probably going to have more lineups without this fight in it and just hoping that it gets extended. But I do think that the more skilled striker is Chidi. So I'm picking him. I would rather save the 200. But he's also the one that's less durable. So maybe that just is what leads to Oleg Jacek getting the knockout. This is one where I just don't have a lean. It's a coin flip to me. I went with the skill on Njokuani. I think he is more dangerous when he shows up, but he's inconsistent. If he just did a little bit more in his last fight, he would have got his hand raised there. So it's hard to trust him. But if we're playing the video game and I'm controlling Chidi, I'm going to win that fight, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Chidi.
Nah, I like it all. I mean, so Michael O opened up minus 170. Chidi's got buyback ever since. And like you said, I think Chidi's slightly more dangerous. If it was on the mat, Chidi has the better ground game. But I do give Michael the better chin and durability. So that if they're going to meet in the middle, throw bombs, I can see why this line's a coin flip. I mean, books out there saying, whoever you think, you're paying some juice on both sides. Whoever you think's win, put your money there and we'll see. Because it really is 2 strikers. They get it done a little differently. They're going to meet in the middle. They're both going to land big shots, though. I got Chidi. You got Chidi. But, like, if you told me Chidi was going to be 30% and Michael was going to be 20% owned, like, Michael's the side for sure. I'll take the lower-owned fighter. Again, that's wishing I knew what ownership was. The game would be a little easier, no doubt about that. But if they're relatively going to be similar ownership, give me Chidi in this fight. We got 4 fights left to talk about. Again, 60 watching live, 35 likes. We appreciate that. If you're watching on playback, appreciate you guys as well. And we did give out, again, last week, Keeper Cheetah gave away. Ended up being 5 tickets. He gave an extra one to a founding family member. But we did get all of those people paid out. Scary Creation, shout out to him. Sean O'Malley, man, the Sugar Show got it done. 42 significant strikes was the total. Scary Creations guess 50. So shout out to him. And again, if you aren't a member at SHIPITNation.com, we'll have plenty of giveaways during the NFL season as well. MMA content, all will be on the site after this. PGA, NBA will be here. NFL 2 weeks out, man. Cannot wait for that. 3-2-1 blast off bundle. 6 months takes you through Super Bowl Sunday. Projections, you need it. Ownership, you need it. Proprietary tools, core play, slate plan, cash report, talking MMA, every breakdown of the fights, overweight, underweight tags, core plays, tier rankings, fight rankings, everything you need to be successful. We got you covered over here at SHIPITNation.com. We got 4 fights left on this card. Next fight on the card, my man right here, Rinya Nakamura taking on Fernie Garcia, 9,600. Nakamura, 6,600 for Garcia. tied for the biggest favorite on the card. Actually looks like the biggest favorite. Him and Holloway in a tier of his own. This fight's minus 325 to finish. Nakamura minus 315 to finish. Fernie plus 1100. And in round one, Nakamura is minus 180 at some spots, minus 140 at some others. This dude's the real deal, man. I am so impressed with Nakamura. I was coming into the UFC or his championship UFC fight that was at the Apex against Kazama. Dude has a wrestling background, comes in here and shows off his hands. He's got power. He's got the wrestling chops. He's got the grappling chops. This guy's going to be a problem for a long time. I don't see myself betting against this guy in a minute. First round finish, 100-plus score, pencil it in, lock it in, do whatever you want to do. But the thing is, 9,600, what if he puts up 120 and Holloway puts up 150? 120 could be left off. So I'm not saying I'm locking him in, but yeah, it's round one all day for me for Nakamura. No Fernie Garcia. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, Nakamura's maybe my favorite prospect right now. He's just the full package. I think he could go out there and beat Garcia in a 15-minute striking match. I think he's the more dangerous striker, but his biggest edge is going to be on the ground. He's a dominant wrestler, dangerous grappler. I just don't see how he loses this fight other than getting flash knocked out. If you think Garcia gets that knockout, he's going to be unowned. That would kill off half the field. That's your reason to play Garcia, but I'm not going to do it. I'll be on Nakamura or I'll be on Max. It's one of those two are going to be in every single one of the lineups I create this weekend. I don't know who's going to score more points. I feel that Nakamura is safe for 100+, but I think Max has a higher ceiling, but it also wouldn't shock me to see Max score 90. So I don't know, man. That's what's going to come down to is which one of those two ends up on the optimal lineup. I'm just hoping I hit the right combination. I'm going to load up on both of them. But yeah, give me Nakamura by any way he wants.
You have the same exact thought process as me. I think ownership is pretty similar. Like I put Holloway number 1 in my rankings and Nakamura 2 just because like I don't know how Nakamura gets 150 points. Like it's so hard in 3-round fights. Whereas Holloway, if he goes 25 minutes, he can put up 150, 160, 170, as we've seen. But like Holloway can put up 90. I think Nakamura, I'm very confident he gets done in round 1. So I'm already thinking 100 there. But yeah, no, I agree with you. You're making the rule. I play 150, so I don't think I'll quite make the rule just because of the price tags, but they're clearing away the top guys on the slate. Go collect. We have access to projections for USC over at SHIPIT.com. You bet projections and ownership for UFC, PGA, MLB, all that. But yes, it's actually up on the site right now. Projections and ownership are up. And also it is linked in Solver, our partner optimizer over here. Check out the Solver, everything for PGA, for MMA, for MLB, all of that projections and ownership preloaded into Solver makes it really easy there. So yep, projections, ownership, all of that on the site for this UFC card. 3 fights left. Big Marley, not a fight I'm looking forward to for DFS. Maybe a fun fight for real life, though. Giga Chikadze, Alex Caceres, 9K for Giga, 7,200 for Caceres. Giga coming in about minus 240, plus 205 on the way back for Caceres. This fight is the other fight besides the Blanchfield one, expecting to go to decision, plus 140 to finish. Giga plus 210, Caceres plus 500. So yeah, I mean, Giga at 9K is a primary striker. He needs a first-round knockout is how I'm seeing it. Plus 210 inside the distance, plus 400 in round 1. Plus 500 in round 1, excuse me. Averages about 4 significant strikes per minute. He's got power. He's a great striker. Like, he's got 5 minutes to get it done. He's going to be low-owned. If it goes past 5 minutes, though, I really just don't see him getting there. So at 20 teams or less, one of my least favorite fighters, hit the fade. As far as Caceres, though, I think Giga wins this fight. Like Caceres, not the best wrestler. He has good grappling. That's how you do beat Giga. But I think Giga can keep it on the feet, can stay at range. He's gonna if this fight's at range, it's Giga all day for me, man, with the kicks and the striking. So little nervous coming off of an absolute life-changing beating against Calvin Kattar, but he's taking a lot of time off. I think he keeps it mainly on the feet. He beats him up at range. I'm saying Giga by decision, maybe a second, third round finish. hoping it's not first round, hoping it's not optimal. I'll have more Caceres for DFS just because of the price points. If he does get it on the mat, he can give him problems though for sure. But Giga by decision, I'll pick.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just going to fade this fight with 20 or less lineups because I'm picking Giga to win a decision, and he's not going to get there in a decision because he's not landing takedowns. He's just not going to be high enough volume at 9K for him to beat these other guys. Even if he does get his first round knockout, which is what puts him on the optimal lineup, he still might not get there because he's got to compete with these other people who might get first round knockouts. And then Max and Nakamura, they're both going to outscore him if they win, most likely. So ownership only would be the reason to play him. I won't get there at all with 20 or less lineups. Same with Caceres. I doubt I get to Caceres with 20 or less, but he is my preferred play because of the grappling advantage. If he can get the fight to the mat, he could submit him in any round. So at 7,200, I would rather just play him. But overall, this would be a fight for the solver. If I'm making 150, I'll let the solver control it. Maybe I max it at like 15% on both sides. But I have little interest in this fight. Probably my least favorite on the card.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, a fight that we expect to play out on the feet. If it's on the mat, it's because of Caceres. Sign me up for a Caceres dog. But plus 140, the favorite being a striker, guys that throw roughly 4 significant strikes per minute. Please get it out of the first round. Should be good over here. 2 fights left on the card. This fight, I hope, doesn't get outside the first round. Ryan Spann, Anthony Smith, 8,300 for Spann, 7,900 for Smith. Spann around minus 130 to minus 140, plus 110 on the way back for Smith. Minus 550 this fight to finish. Minus 200 is under 1.5. Spann plus 110. Smith plus 130. And at $1 this fight to end in round 1, minus 145. The rematch we did not know we needed back in 2021, not too long ago, September 18th of 2021. Anthony Smith beats Ryan Spann in round 1. Dominated that fight, really. He got a first-round submission win, but hurt Spann multiple times. Spann couldn't recover. Anthony Lionheart Smith put it on him. Ever since then, though, it's not often we get a rematch, pretty recent rematch, with the loser being the favorites. But if you look at why, after that fight since Anthony Smith, Ryan Spann beats Ian Cutelaba, beats Dominic Reyes, loses to Krylov, which isn't – Krylov's good, so it's not the worst look, but good wins against Cutelaba. Dominic Reyes is a big dog. And you look at Anthony Smith, after that fight, he lost to Ankalaev in round 2. He lost to Johnny Walker in an awful fight where he got like tripled up in volume. I just like Anthony Smith, 50 pro fights, been here, done that forever. He's 35 years old. So much damage he's accumulated throughout his career. Just not the same guy, man. He can't take a leg kick. Body kicks are concerning. Ryan Spann's so powerful. I'm going right back to Spann in this one. Don't get clipped early. I think you can hurt Lionheart Smith early and then put him away. Spann brought up like in the Dominic Reyes fight after he knocked him out to like Rogan. He's like, man, like I never trained for any of these fights before. Like, look what happens when I actually do train, which he was insinuating that he didn't train for the Anthony Smith fight and stuff. And that's pretty much how his whole career went. Spann is a scary, scary dude. Smith's good, man. It's a great fight. I'll have so much of it. I'm not making a rule just because this fight's going to be so high owned, but if it ends in round 1, it's hard not seeing it scoring well. I expect Spann to be more popular. So I think Smith is the leverage play. But I think Ryan Spann wins. So I'll have similar ownership on both. But Ryan Spann for me in round 1 by knockout. I think it's time for Smith. Only a couple fights left. Maybe his last fight even for Anthony Smith. Has a job at the UFC and all that. But yeah, give me Spann in this one. What about you?
I'm going to go on the other side of this one. I mean, I'm going to be targeting both sides heavily. This is close to an all-in fight. Highest fight doesn't go to decision on the card at minus 500. Fight ends in round 1 is minus 150. So you just got to target this fight. With it being in the mid-range, winner probably scores 100 or more. You're going to need it. So I'll have a lot of Spann too, even though I'm picking against him. But I think he is very dangerous in the first round. Could spark Smith early. Could submit him early too. But I think the longer this goes, the more it could favor Smith. And 2 years ago, Smith dropped him twice in the first round before he submitted him. Smith is just the more well-rounded fighter. Spann has landed like 18 strikes since that last fight, so I'm just not overly sold that he's that much better. He could definitely land a knockout, but not much has changed. In my opinion, I'd rather save the $400. I mean, not much has changed on the Spann side. Smith does look worse. I agree with that. He has not looked good in his last 2 fights, but I haven't seen enough from Spann to justify him being that much better than when they last fought. So I'd rather save the money. And if he's going to be the lower owned guy, I like that more too. Give me Smith first or second round finish. But this is my favorite fight on the card to target both sides of.
Yeah, no, this is the best fight at the prices. I agree. The best fight to go both sides on. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to – it's a coin flip fight. Smith just got it done. He should be lower owned. So, like, I might end up with more over-owned to the field on Smith than Spann just because I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 35-22, something like that. But I think Spann gets it done. Always ways. Using Aldrich, Choi. There's always ways to get different on this card. Pretty clear. We have ownership projections over here on the site to look at low-owned fighters. Pretty clear on this slate where chalk's going to be and where low-owned pieces are going to be. So always think about that in UFC. What's going on, Big Driggs? Getting in here late. Hope everything going well. Whaler in here as well. We got one fight left on the card. Again, appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. Like button. Subscribe button helps us out a ton. And you want all of our content at SHIPITNation.com. All of the MMA stuff will be up. Projections, ownership already up. 3-2-1 for the next 6 months. $321 comes out to about $53 a month. NFL right around the corner. NBA will be here before you know it. NHL, MMA, PGA, best ball, everything you need to be successful in DFS. Main event time, baby. You can't miss Max Blessed Holloway. Big boy favorite taking on the Korean Zombie. About minus 800 for Max, plus 550 on the way back for the Zombie. This fight is minus 165 to finish. Holloway minus 180. Korean Zombie plus 1400. I mean, man, I wish Korean Zombie got someone easy. He just doesn't like fighting easy people, but he's so outmatched in this one. Anything can happen. It takes one shot in MMA. The thing is, Max Holloway, one of the best chins out there. So I don't see the Korean Zombie knocking him out. So I guess that means Korean Zombie better put on those wrestling shoes. And it's a long 25 minutes to be wrestling Max Holloway. I don't think he can do that. Max buy whatever he wants. We talked about it earlier, though. Like him and Nakamura, the two guys. Max probably the highest owned on the slate. He put up less than 100 last time out with over 100 significant strikes against Arnold Allen. But you can go to some of those fights against Cater and stuff, Yair, and the dude puts up a 150 plus and stuff that you just can't match. So Holloway, that's what he does. Over 7 significant strikes per minute. Probably won't mix in takedowns, though, so you get all the volume. He is expected to finish this fight, though. I mean, he's a great DFS player. I don't know what else I can tell people. He's going to be the most popular. He's the biggest favorite. He has 5 rounds to work with. He throws 7 significant strikes per minute. Like, Max is the man in every aspect of life in DFS. He's a good play, but how you play him, I guess, is the bigger question. So what do you got in this one?
Yeah, definitely picking Holloway to win. I think Korean Zombie's best chance would be to get a submission, but I don't see it at this point in his career. I think Max just does what he does, his volume machine. And I actually just think he just takes him into deep water and drowns him, sets a pace that he can't keep up with, finishes him 3rd through 5th round, something like that, puts up a really high score. Last week we were getting a lot of questions in Discord. Was Zhang 190 points the highest we've ever seen? It wasn't, because Max Holloway has scored 209 points before, which is
the
nuts.
Cater one.
Yeah. And he's also scored 165 and 153. So Holloway has an unmatched ceiling on this card. But at the same time, you mentioned he scored 89 in his last fight against Cater. And I also think this is a fight similar to like the Frankie Edgar fight, where Holloway scored 82 points. He could have scored 140 points if he wanted to in that fight, but it's like he felt bad for Frankie Edgar. And I think we're going to see a little bit of that here. I don't think he's going to want to beat the shit out of a Korean Zombie in this fight. I think he'll just clearly win all 5 rounds, put up 180 strikes or something like that. And maybe he scores 105 and that doesn't get him there. So I might prefer Nakamura for that reason, but I'm only doing 20 or less, most likely. And I'm going to personally do one or the other. Some of them I'll have both, but I just think that we're going to have to decide. I think the optimal ends up with one of these guys on it. So that's what I'm going to do. Just make a rule that one of these guys should be in every single one of my lineups. I'm not going to touch Korean Zombie. I'm not going to touch Garcia. It'll be all Holloway, all Nakamura. And I'm just hoping that I can get the right one mixed with the other 5 and be up there. So we'll see, but give me Holloway to win clearly.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like everything you said, like Nakamura is not putting up 150 plus. Holloway's done it multiple times. However, I'm so high on Nakamura. Like I don't think he puts up under 90 since I think he gets it done in round 1. Whereas Holloway, maybe he can for sure. We've seen it. He's going to keep it on the feet. And I wouldn't be surprised like you, Matt, like what Volk did to Korean Zombie. Korean Zombie's taken some bad beating as of late. And Holloway, he has that soft spot in him where if he's absolutely destroying and down, like he might take it easy a little bit or just throw the jab out there, not just go straight kill shot. But yeah, I mean, the best play on the slate in a vacuum is Max with 25 minutes to work with. Yeah, Siggy, him being 31 is insane. Crazy, man. The dude's been in wars. He's been doing the damn thing for so long. Still doing it at the highest level. Think he gets it done this week. Again, 5 a.m. Eastern in Singapore. It's going to be a rough one. 2 a.m. over here. All of the content actually up on the site right now. Just transferred everything over. Ownership, projections. They're in Solver as well. Slate plans, tier rankings, everything you need up on the site at chipandnation.com. $59 a month or $321 the next 6 months. Blast Off bundle takes you to $53 a month. And the $59 a month is going to $69 a month September 11th. The best deal we got annually right now, $599 a year, comes out to $49 a month. Great stuff as always, Marley. I'm pumped for some fights, man. Like what, 15 hours? We got fights in our screen. Let's go. I'll be up. Everyone out there, setting your alarm. If you want to do that, get your lineups in the night before, whatever it may be. We'll see you in the Discord. Hit that like, hit that subscribe on the way out. Have a great weekend, everybody. For Big Marley, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.